Hello, this is Steve Nelson with the National Weather Service with your weekly weather briefing for the week of June 4th. Current conditions are a lot less active than they were this time yesterday, especially later on in the afternoon and evening. On Wednesday, we had quite a few thunderstorms with hail, some damaging wind. Hail was reported as large as golf ball size in Coweta County in the Noonan area specifically. So lots of other places reporting hail, quarter size, a little bit larger than that. Um, So where the conditions that prompted that were an upper low pressure system over northern Georgia, eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina. That upper low is still in the area, but it's moved further east, and that usually means we're going to be a little bit more stable, a little more dry. So not expecting as strong or widespread thunderstorms as we were this time yesterday afternoon. Still could see a few maybe in eastern Georgia, Athens area, a little bit east of there. That could see some thunderstorms, maybe northeast Georgia as well, in the corner of the state there, but not as strong even there. If you want to follow those current conditions, that's my favorite link. You can use the one that's specifically made at the bottom to kind of monitor things. It shows the latest radar, like what you see in the screen that was captured this morning, but it will show you the current conditions with that link there, and as well as warnings. So as the upper low pressure system that I mentioned earlier moves to the east there in this, like is shown in this computer forecast there off the North Carolina coast, which is valid for Friday evening, we are often in a pattern with what we call northwest flow. That means flow halfway up the atmosphere, about 18,000 feet, give or take, is from the northwest blowing to the southeast, and it's somewhat strong. It's not real strong like you see in the winter months, but it's strong, especially for June. And in that pattern, a lot of meteorologists in the area and at our office know this, that it's a favorable pattern for something called mesoscale convective systems. These are complexes of thunderstorms that organize together, become more long lasting, and sometimes produce quite a bit of heavy rain as well as some hail and damaging winds, depending on how strong the storm system is. So, this particular computer forecast for Friday evening shows there could be some moisture, those green and yellow colors there over western Kentucky, southern Illinois, in that area, the Midwest. That could be indicative of what the computer thinks is ongoing thunderstorms, this MCS. At that time, other computer models don't show this necessarily. I just want to make you aware of when you get this kind of pattern in June, it's possible. We're not indicating any strong chance of that happening. But it is a favorable pattern for these complexes of thunderstorms to move in overnight and into the morning hours often. This is the day 3 through 7 hazards outlook. No significant hazards are really expected in Georgia. We've shown this in the past. It's really mainly designed to highlight significant hazards where they're more widespread and more confident that they will occur. Isolated hazards, even a thunderstorm with lightning can be hazardous. They're not going to show that because this time of year, frankly, that's almost every day in the eastern part of the country. So we will see that pattern again here, afternoon and evening thunderstorms. Some could be a little strong, but mostly it appears to be isolated in nature, so we're not looking at any organized or significant hazards near us in the next few days. The 5-day total rainfall forecast from the Weather Prediction Center, not a whole lot for Georgia. Actually, this may be a chance for us to dry out a little bit after recent rains. Um, the light green shading is really just an average of a tenth of an inch of rain or less. So, good part of our area. Maybe the far north might see a little bit more based on the latest forecasts and a range of models that we look at. That's our best guess on rainfall. So, chance for some drying out. Doesn't mean it's going to be bone dry, as I've said before. Scattered afternoon, evening thunderstorms are likely not as widespread as we've seen the last few days. So, most places will stay dry. A few places might see a storm. We just want to make you aware it won't be bone dry. Here's the Storm Prediction Center severe weather outlook through 6 a.m. Friday. That's valid today, basically, and this afternoon and evening for the most part. The light green shading that's over much of the eastern U.S. is just what we call general thunderstorms. Nothing severe indicated for the most part. There could be a strong storm, possibly in the far northeast or east central part of Georgia, but nothing severe that we're anticipating this time. Here's the day 2 outlook from Storm Prediction Center. This is valid Friday through Saturday morning. Isolated storms with heavy rainfall possible kind of anywhere in that light green shading. It's just not going to be as much coverage as we've seen, as we mentioned before. That darker green that's over Missouri, from Kansas, Missouri into western Tennessee and western Kentucky, that's that mesoscale convective system possibility that we mentioned earlier. That's what the forecasters at the Storm Prediction Center are kind of highlighting, that path overnight into the midnight to after midnight hours. That could be causing some a little bit higher risk for damaging winds and heavy rain there. Nothing approaching Georgia, so that's what we're hoping for. And the outlook for Saturday and Saturday night through Sunday morning, again, the light green shading indicative of just general thunderstorms, maybe a few isolated storms with heavy rainfall possible, some lightning, of course. Not really seeing a lot of signs of organized severe weather. This is the tropical outlook for the next 5 days over the Atlantic basin. No tropical cyclones are being observed or monitored, and none are expected in the next 5 days. This is good news for us. We don't want to see anything like this. And this being what you're looking at on the right there is Hurricane Blanca. It's in the eastern Pacific, not far off the Mexican coast. It's moving to the north-northwest very slowly, and it's forecast to continue in May. Probably will likely curve into the southwest U.S. Probably early next week. Of course, then it will be weakening and mainly just going to be producing some rain out where they need it in that part of the country. Not really an effect on Georgia as it dissipates over the southwest and its moisture becomes transported aloft. But I did want to mention that that's kind of what we're expecting this season, that with an El Nino pattern that we're currently experiencing and forecast to strengthen a little bit, there's generally more activity in the Pacific this kind of pattern than there is in the Atlantic. So that's been the case so far. We're already on our second named storm in the Pacific, and it probably should just continue through the rest of the summer. Here's the 7-day outlook for a couple cities north and central Georgia, Gainesville and Dublin. Temperatures in the 80s, especially that northeast area. We sometimes get a little bit more clouds up there and cooler conditions, but still in the mid 80s. Down south, where temperatures are approaching 90, this is still about average for this time of year. And even with those low temperatures, pretty warm, approaching 70, that's about where we should be in 70. The chances of rain, as you can see, are in the 30 to 40% range for the most part. A little bit more likely in the north as opposed to the south. But it's a summer-like pattern with mainly afternoon and evening thunderstorms. Again, some could be a little strong on a local level with heavy rain and lightning, gusty winds, but nothing organized, nothing severe. So to summarize, overall, a fairly quiet week. Chance to dry out a little bit less rainfall than we've seen for a while. So if we're lucky, we'll have a chance for things to dry out and have some nice weather. No significant hazards are expected, organized hazards, but of course we're still going to be in a summertime pattern, especially if that northwest flow that I mentioned earlier pans out and we do maybe see a complex of thunderstorms on one of the days, but not anticipating that at this time. But we will be seeing, even without that, just some isolated afternoon and evening thunderstorms with lightning, heavy rain, gusty winds on a very local level. So that's all we've got. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you next week.